Optically, was Cockroach by Danger Danger a shit show? But was it a shit show musically?
Hey, Lorraine Lewis here from Vixen and Femme Fatale, and you're watching the Krash Course Metal Show. Yeah.
What is good, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to a pretty cool collaboration album review, if you will. So, with how Cockroach is as an album, there are two different versions. One with Ted Poley on vocals and the one with Paul Laine on vocals. So, if I am going to be doing a review for the Ted Poley version of Cockroach from Danger Danger, and then our buddy Richy Kearns Productions is going to be doing a Paul Laine album review. So, I will put the links to that as well below in the description and in the comments section. So go check out the Paul Laine version. But I am going to be talking, I want to touch on the Paul Laine. But first and foremost, guys, if you enjoy what we do here on the channel, we bring you the forgotten and unknown metal albums, metal bands that just people just don't remember or just that are unknown. Click the subscribe button, hang out with us for a while, party with us. We'd love to have you here and keep this scene alive. So, what we are here today, if you guys are clicked on this video, I'm sure you guys know who Danger Danger is. And they are one of the hair bands from the later 80s, specifically 89 with their debut album, Danger Danger. And then they also had their second album come out in 1991, Screw It. Both did pretty well in the charts. They both had singles that did pretty well. Even in America, Screw It went to 123. The debut went to 88 in the top 200 Billboard charts. And even in Japan, they made some noise with Screw It going all the way up to number 67. And then their 2009, I guess, reunion album, if you will, with original vocalist Ted Poley, that even went to 145 in Japan. So they are pretty well known in this subgenre of hair metal. And so Cockroach, though, is very strange because I was unaware with Cockroach. I knew Cockroach was an album, but I never listened to it before. I never was able to find it on any physical media. And the past 10, 15 years that I've known of Danger Danger, I never heard anything off of it, never seen anything out in the wild. But I will say that is going to change because I was super impressed with this album. So this album did come out in 1993. And that's another thing too. 1993 is what I personally think is the golden era within the golden era of hair metal. 1990 to 1993, I think you just got a good slew of new bands, a good slew of the OGs, if you will, of hair metal, finally being a little bit more mature in their songwriting and just their musical capabilities. I think just a lot of albums were absolutely top notch, and the best was yet to come for hair metal when it sadly kind of got pushed away and somewhat died in 1992, 1993. So, Cockroach, though, here, the reason why there's two albums or two versions of the album is that Ted Poley, the original vocalist, the voice of Danger Danger, they finished this album up in 1993. And then the band decided to fire Ted, or they just ended up getting rid of Ted and hiring Paul Laine, who originally had his own band, just his name, I believe, Paul Laine. He had one album in 1990, which I am unfamiliar with. I am unfamiliar with Paul Laine up until recently here, prepping for this video and listening to his Danger Danger stuff. So I came in clean with fresh ears on Paul Laine and also on Cockroach. So this was kind of interesting in of itself. For me, I was quite interested in doing this kind of album review here. So sadly, I do not have a physical copy to show off to you guys. So I am looking on the computer screen for the track listings and such because I can't show you anything here, sadly. But nonetheless, this album here, now from our buddy Richy, he says in his video that he's a big fan of the Paul Laine version of the album, which I have to admit, it is a good album with Paul Laine's vocals on it. I can dig it, but I kind of land in the camp of when I put on Ted's version of the album, Cockroach, I'm like, this just sounds more at home for us. Now he kind of, this is where one thing I will disagree with Richy on in his video is that he kind of mentioned that Cockroach was a little bit more of a move to grunge, but with Ted's vocals, there was a sense of familiarity with the album or with the sound of the album Cockroach, which I think I felt right at home the whole time with Ted Poley and also Paul Laine's, but more specifically Ted Poley on vocals and just the sound of the album. I don't think there's really much any grunge at all in this album at all. I think you do get a little bit more mature sounding stuff and lyrically and everything like that, but I don't think there's a touch of grunge really at all on this. And I will disagree on his point with that. But other than that, I kind of agree with a lot of what he said with the Paul Laine in his video. But with Ted Poley here, Ted Poley is the voice of Danger Danger. There's no way of getting around that. And when you put on this album, you're like, God damn, this is why I like Danger Danger. And so just with just a couple songs here off of Cockroach, I really, really absolutely love from Ted's side of things. You had When She's Good, She's Good. I think that is one of the best songs off the album. And I think Paul does a decent job at it too. But you're going to a situation here that when the album was already written and done pretty much with Ted. So then you cut that and then you bring in another singer and it's already written for another singer and you're bringing in another singer to kind of make it sound like his own, which it's almost impossible to do. Not that it doesn't work here because Paul does do his own thing and I enjoy Paul's voice. But there's something to these songs when Ted sings them though, especially like When She's Good, She's Good, the ballads, Afraid of Love, and Don't Break My Heart Again. You know, I think that Ted Poley just has an aura about his voice. He brings a sense of character or just his tone in the songs, the fun-hearted tone. Because as you guys know who follow the channel, I've seen Ted Poley at least 3 or 4 times now, and every time I see him, always cool with the fans and always wanting to talk, take pictures, sign things, and it's just you hear that through the music that he puts out, and that's no different from this album as well. Like Paul Laine, like I said, Paul Laine, good singer, I like it. Even with like some of the early tracks on Paul Laine's version, he kind of gives me a trace now of Jani Lane on some of these songs, on some of the vocal deliveries that he does. And I'm like, okay, I can get into this here, but it's not, I don't want to be like a Ted Poley homer by any means, because I do like both of the versions. But when you're talking Danger Danger and these songs that were written for and by Ted, it's like, I can't really, if you're going to give me an option, I'm going to take Ted's version all day. So I don't think there's really 1 or 2 songs that I would say I don't really care for on the album. But overall, though, I have to sit with this album a little bit longer if it's going to overtake the debut or screw it for me, which it has a legitimate shot at doing. It's just a shame that this didn't come out in 1993. Once they re-recorded it with Paul on vocals, Ted ended up suing Danger Danger or the record company or whoever, but it ended up being shelved. The record company ended up shelving it, and it didn't actually come out as an official release until 2001. So obviously that's way too late to do anything unless you're a second wave of hair metal band. But even then, you're still late and not really going to do much.
Boy, this party really died.
So I think even now, obviously 1993, the writing's on the wall for this kind of band, this kind of music, this kind of genre. And I don't think it would have fared very well, but you never know. You never know what could have happened now. Because like, another thing I want to say with the album artwork, I don't know what the fuck we're doing here. I don't care for it. The only thing that I will say for Richy when he said about grunge, this album cover looks like a grungy piece of shit to me.
Hell yes.
Yeah, sure, it's called Cockroach. I don't even mind the title name, to be honest with you. That I can get around that. That's no big deal to me. But when you're looking at this album cover, I don't even want to give it a chance, to be honest with you, just based on what it looks like. And I know that's not good. That we can't judge a book by its cover because the inside is awesome. It's absolutely great. Probably one of Danger Danger's best albums. Like I said, I need to sit with it for a little bit longer, and it might take that top spot for Danger Danger. And I'm a big Danger Danger guy. I like everything that they put out. But you're talking here, the album cover. It's just not good. I don't know if you're trying to make someone not see this album or listen to this album. That's the album cover that you're gonna choose. And that's kind of my piece on the cover artwork. And I don't know what was going on. Now, granted, yes, 1993, the whole 90s were a strange time after 1993. I agree with that. Who knows? But even I think there's a white version of this, and I guess that's Ted's version. Because, like I said, I'm only looking at these through YouTube, so take that for what you will. There's like a whiter version of this, which is a little bit better, but at the same time, it's still pretty much the same thing. But it is a little bit easier on the eyes. It looks a little bit more happy or heartfelt, more of a Ted type deal. So I kind of understand why they went lighter on that side of the cover artwork for his version. And one more thing too with the track listings, I don't understand why the track listings are mixed up. Okay, so well, for one, Paul Laine I think has 12 tracks, and Ted Poley's version has 11 tracks, and they're all scattered around. They're not in the same order, basically. And the one track that Paul Laine does do is the last track, Time in a Bottle, which is like a slower ballady maybe type song, acoustically type feel. But it's okay. I can dig it. But I'm guessing it's a song that he brought to them or they wrote together with Paul in the band. And so obviously Ted wouldn't have any part in this when this album was written. So I don't know. I don't know why the track listings are just, I don't know. It's just like, it's not that big of a deal, but I kind of like the flow of Ted's version as well, which track listing is a big deal for me in my world, because even when I do my own CDs and stuff like that, track listings and mixtapes, I need it in a certain order, because if it's not in a certain order, the flow is going to get fucked up and it's not going to be a good time. It's going to just be off all the way around. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but kind of just something I wanted to bring up here for Cockroach as well. But no, I think Ted Poley's is the better version, just because these songs were his, and you wouldn't want no one else singing Nasty Idols songs. You wouldn't want someone else singing Spread Eagle songs other than Ray West, and it's just, I don't know. I don't see Danger Danger has a distinct sound, distinct voice, and there's just, no matter how good the singer is to replace Ted Paul Laine, no matter how good he is, I don't know if that's something that you can just replace like that. So, but as far as Cockroach guys, I want to give you a couple favorite songs here. Still Kicking, When She's Good, She's Good, Shot of Love, Afraid of Love. I mean, like I said, even like Don't Pull the Plug, which is a interesting song because it does have a little bit of a guitar intro, like a bluesy guitar slide to it, which I do really dig. And then even the last track on Ted's version, Sick Little Twisted Mind, very cool, groovy. I like both. I'm not going to talk shit on Paul's version, because if that was just a standalone album, just called like Paul Laine or like another band or whatever, I would be digging it. I'm like, oh, this is great for 1993. I'm cool. But since we do have the Ted version, I just think that is just the superior version as of now, anyway. Maybe ask me in a couple years, it might change, because some things do end up changing over time. But for me, just here on the first like 5 listens or so, just breaking it in for the first time in my life, I think we got to go with Ted's version, and it just a little bit more. We feel more at home with Ted, obviously on a Danger Danger record. Still check out Paul Laine's version as well. But please, guys, if you want to check out a review of Paul Laine's version, please check out Richy Kearns. Now, Richy Kearns Productions, great. He does like all kinds of like mini documentaries on bands. Like, who else is going to be doing a Crash Diet Dave Leppard mini documentary? Like, literally, once I saw that, like, whoever does that gets my respect 100%, because you don't see too many people talking about Crash Diet, and well, whether that was 20 years ago or nowadays. So yeah, whoever talks about that and actually does like a documentary, have my respect 100%. Go check him out. I will put his video right here. Check it out. And guys, let me know too in the comments what you think of both versions, what you think of Ted's version. Have you guys even heard this album before? Because like I said, it was pushed away on the shelf for about 10 years since it was recorded, and then 2001 it came out. But there we go again with another great 1993 album, another mature album that didn't really stray from their roots and did not go grunge at the first sight of it. Now, we can't really talk too much about the albums that came after Cockroach here, but for the time, Cockroach did not. It stood its ground, certainly stood its ground. And that in and of itself, Paul's version and Ted's version, I give my hats off for sticking their ground with the sound of the 80s hair metal. And until next time, guys, stay out of that collateral damage. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys really enjoyed this video, check out this one right here.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.